Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nathan. If you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a pre-fight show for UFC 226, Miocic versus DC for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. DC is the light heavyweight champ going into this fight, going up a weight class to fight the heavyweight champ Stipe, and Stipe is looking for his fourth consecutive UFC heavyweight championship title defense, so it's pretty exciting. He's already broken the record at 3, and he's going to try to make it even more of a gap at number 4. We'll see if he can, and we'll see what I have to say about it right now. So this is my predictions with the main card. Run down the main card with my predictions. So yeah, let's get started. So the heavyweight championship of the world is on the line here in the main event. And I am picking Stipe by third round TKO. I think he wears out DC a little bit and then lets his hands go in the third round and knocks him out. I could see DC at some point trying for some takedowns, but then he'll get Stipe down, but then Stipe will pop up because he's a bigger guy. I mean, height-wise, I mean, DC weighed in more according to the weigh-ins, but yeah, Stipe is still the taller guy, and he's still a more natural heavyweight. So I got Stipe able to get back up to his feet, keep it standing, and use his boxing, and then eventually getting the knockout. I think Stipe will avoid the wrestling overall, because if this was a pure wrestling match, DC in theory would win, but because this MMA match with some wrestling involved, it makes it a whole different ballpark. So I'm picking, Stipe by third round TKO. Then also in the heavyweight division in the co-main event, we have Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. I'm picking Derek Lewis by unanimous decision. I think Derek Lewis will just not want to get hit by Francis, so he'll go for the takedowns. And I think Derek Lewis has underrated wrestling, underrated takedowns. I think he can get takedowns. And I think, especially when it gets to the last half of round 2 and round 3, Francis will again be gassed out. But I also think that Derek Lewis will be a little tired too, but he'll still go for those takedowns and still at some point get them. And so I got Derek Lewis winning by unanimous decision due to takedowns in each round. I think round 1, he's going to just basically bum rush for a takedown as soon as he can. And then that will win him the round, and then round 2 and 3, the takedowns will get easier for Derek Lewis. I think Derek Lewis is going to fight smart here and not leave his chin open. I could be wrong, though. I mean, Alistair Overeem did get caught by Francis Ngannou, but yeah, I'm picking Derek Lewis by unanimous decision here. Then in the welterweight division, we have Paul Felder versus Mike Platinum Perry. I think Paul Felder is the more technical striker and just the more technical MMA fighter overall. And Paul Felder is one of those guys that's overlooked constantly by the casual MMA fans. The hardcores like myself know about him and know about his skill set, and also him having worked on the broadcast crew for the UFC. He's had to analyze fights, break them down, and so you could imagine he's probably studied a lot of tape on Mike Perry. So I'm picking Paul Felder by unanimous decision here. I think he makes all the smart moves and does what he needs to, but Mike Perry's kind of hard to finish, so I could see Paul Felder trying to finish Mike Perry but not getting it, and then Paul Felder walking away with a decision victory. Then in a catchweight bout, because Michael Chiesa missed weight, and this will be his last fight in at this weight, because he's going up to welterweight after this apparently. He's fighting Anthony Showtime Pettis. I am picking Michael Chiesa by a second round submission here. I think Michael Chiesa is just a high caliber submission artist, and it's going to be a lot for Anthony Pettis to handle. And also Michael Chiesa is a taller fighter, and he's going to use that size over Anthony Pettis and get the submission victory over Anthony Pettis in round 2. Then in the light heavyweight division, to kick off the main card, we have Gokhan Sakai versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. And I'm picking Gokhan by first round knockout. Yeah, first round knockout. I mean, because Gokhan has that killer Dutch kickboxing background, and he can definitely finish people quick, and he has heavy hands. And I think until he starts fighting the top 10 ranked guys in the light heavyweight division, we're going to see some big wins out of Gokhan. Yeah, so Khalil Roundtree is going to have a tough night ahead of him, but we'll see. I mean, Khalil Roundtree did do well in the Ultimate Fighter. And honorable mention on the prelims, Curtis Millender versus Max Griffin. That's going to be a great fight. I am picking Curtis Millender, second round KO. I think it's a feeling out process with how much wrestling is Max Griffin going to use, and you know, how to find the distance and gauge him. And then I think in round 2 he'll have it figured out, and then he'll get a big knockout in the second round. Maybe with a kick or a flashy punch, but we'll see. Then another honorable mention on the prelims, Jamie Moyle versus Emily Whitmire. Jamie Moyle, a durable veteran from Invicta FC and has fought in the UFC. I got her winning by unanimous decision. She's a talent out of Syndicate MMA, and just young girl, a lot of talent and potential. And I think, yeah, she's had some hits and misses along the ways, but I think she can do something big here in this match against Emily Whitmire. So I'm picking, yeah, Jimmy Moyle by unanimous decision on this one. And then also in the lightweight division on the prelims, we have Dan Hooker versus Gilbert Burns. Dan Hooker, for those of you that watch the Fight Pass cards, the UFC Fight Pass cards, Dan Hooker's been a staple on some of those European Fight Pass cards, and he's always fun to watch. He has great submission skills, pretty decent stand-up, and Gilbert Burns is a longtime veteran in the UFC. So that's going to be a good fight at lightweight, and I believe I'm picking Dan Hooker by unanimous decision there. Anyway, so that wraps up the pre-fight show for UFC 226, Miocic versus DC for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the World. And stay tuned in the coming days for my post-fight show on this card. Until then, I will see ya!